All right. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. This is Citizen Television Daybreak. It is. We really appreciate your company. And today we have something special and very important that we want to talk about on this next hour that we are starting right now. And it concerns the rights and privileges and actually something that has been denied to a majority of women and girls, not just in Kenya, but globally. We all know that we are having a very intense campaign and advocacy around menstrual hygiene management. But a lot has been said with regards to what girls and women are going through across the country. We have had horrific stories of girls using materials such as blankets, girls using, even having to isolate themselves for the days that they are on their menses, the impacts that this has on them, even going to school. We have also had how this is correlated with cases of teenage pregnancies and early marriage. And I can go on and on about opening this box on how women and girls are suffering the challenge of accessing safe materials to use when they are on that menstrual, season. And of course, even hygiene, getting water, getting soap. All that will be discussed with my panel this morning, who are going to be unpacking the issues on the ground, the plans that we have as a country, what has been achieved so far, and all roads will be leading to Laikipia as we mark the Menstrual Hygiene Day. So what is happening as we build up momentum towards that particular very important event? I have a team from World Vision, a lot that this organization has done in collaboration with the government just to be able to help our women and girls. They are with me in studio. I'll just run you through who I'm hosting this morning. Sitting on my far right, we have this morning Wanjiku Kuria. Wanjiku is the Sanitation and Hygiene Advisor at World Vision Kenya. Asante.
Thank you.
We have with us also Mary Kibugi. Mary is the Director, KD, Igratium International. Thank you so much. We also have Daktari with us, Dr. Anne Mwangi. Daktari is the Health and Nutrition Manager for World Vision Kenya. Asante. And the gentleman on the panel, and I'm excited about this. Yeah, I'll tell you why. We have with us Albert Tiati, the County Executive. Yes, all right. Beg your pardon, Albert Taiti, who is the County Executive Officer for Health in Laikipia County. My apologies for that. And Karibu.
Thank you.
All right. The reason I'm excited to have you on this panel is because one of the biggest issues we are going to be focusing on is the role of men and even boys in this whole discussion and advocacy of making sure that women and girls have access to their rights when it comes to menstrual hygiene. Asante for creating time this morning. You are our guest of honor. So ladies, we begin this conversation, and I'll start with you, Daktari. What are some of the things that we should be expecting around this time when the whole world is focusing on issues to do with menstrual hygiene management? What is it that is unique? Why should we even be sitting here to talk? Let's begin there.
Okay, thank you very much. I think as we are looking towards the celebration of the World Menstrual Hygiene Day, which should be celebrated next week on Wednesday, 28th of May, we will also be marking a decade since this campaign for menstrual hygiene was launched. And so this is a very important day. We'll be looking back at where we were 10 years ago and where we are, not just as a country, but also globally, but also even as a region, as the African region. We'll be looking at the steps that have been made towards making menstrual hygiene, dignifying menstrual hygiene, dignifying menstruation among girls, especially teenage girls who are just starting to experience their menstrual periods, but also looking at where have we come in terms of supporting them to be able to access the menstrual hygiene products, and also looking at where we have come as a community and a society in terms of embracing menstrual hygiene and normalizing it within the community and supporting them to be able to go through menstruation, not as an abnormal thing, not as something to be ashamed of, but as something that they feel supported by the community, by their parents, by the teachers, by their fellow pupils during menstruation, so that it's not something to be ashamed of.
Great. It's not something to be ashamed of. I mean, it's not a crime to be on your menses, is it? It's not like something that they should be hiding or they should not be proud of. It's a natural process. And all that the world and the country can accord girls and women during this time is to make sure that they go through it in what I like, the word you used, a dignified way, and also normalize this conversation. That's why we are here in broad daylight to talk about menstrual hygiene. Yeah. And I'll come to you, you know, Wanjiku, just to pick from where she has left. When we are talking about menstrual hygiene management, what does it look like in a comprehensive?
Okay, when we are talking about menstrual hygiene management, it encompasses a number of things. One of the things is access, ensuring that women and girls of reproductive health age have access to affordable and safe menstrual hygiene products. We're also talking about knowledge. One of the challenges that we have is that girls, there's a lot of stigma, as Dr. has mentioned. Menstruation is seen as a taboo subject. So you find that girls are not prepared adequately for their first menstrual period. So you find that when it happens, they feel ashamed, they're in fear, they don't know what to use. So a lack of knowledge is one of the challenges that we have, and that is part of menstrual hygiene management. Another part that we have is the disposal. As we know, disposal of used sanitary hygiene products is really one of the gaps that we have in Kenya. And in menstrual hygiene management, we try and look at ways of having environmental friendly solutions for the disposal of used sanitary products. So in a nutshell, that's what menstrual hygiene management is all about.
All right, so it starts from during that season, what should ideally happen, access to the safe materials, and even, you know, access to, you know, hygiene, you know, water, whatever. And I've loved the fact that you have gone into even the after. How do you dispose these materials that they have used? Who even thinks about that and the impact that it has on the environment? So it's like a whole spectrum.
Yes.
And Mary, if you were to pick up, you know, what she has said in terms of now incorporating this in the issues that address, you know, gender and economic empowerment, do we have a correlation between these two, or should we talk about menstrual hygiene management in isolation?
Just to pick up from where Wanjiku came from, when you look at menstrual hygiene management, you cannot talk about it without talking about the menstrual cycle. And when you know, as a body of a woman, when now they start menstruating, you have a whole cycle of 28 days. And during that time, when they're having their menses, we need to make sure that the women are also empowered, that they can be able to work productively, whether in mashinani or in the workplace. Because some of those things, how do we manage, for example, the pain, the cramps, and make sure that that woman is allowed the space that she needs when she's working to be able to go through her normal days, go through her workplace, and do the duties and be productive at the workplace as she's going through her period. So that then when
you're saying that lack of understanding of what women go through during this time is actually having a bearing and an impact in their performance at the workplace and even how they're able to, you know, show up in terms of business. And we need to be sensitive to, you know, women in this particular time and accord them the support that they require.
In fact, because of the fact that the menstrual cycle is driven by hormones, it basically means that during that time, as we even look at the menstrual management on the periods and making sure that they have access to the right menstrual products so that they don't have discomfort or anything, we also make sure that they are comfortable and we are aware that that is part of a normal woman's life.
All right. Albert, I have a lot of questions for you, like a lot. But the quick one would be, you know, why is this subject close to your heart? why did you decide as a man to really speak out about this particular subject? Let me get what inspired you.
Okay, thank you so much. Maybe first of all to appreciate the fact that the men are normally very far from this topic.
Mm-hmm. It's a woman's issue.
It's a woman's issue.
We are trying to change.
And what normally happens, it all comes from even our culture, especially the African culture. Very few men and very few men from different communities, and especially, for example, like Ethiopia, where we are coming from, we have different people with different cultures. We have the Kikuus, we have the Meru, we have the Maasai, we have Samburu, Turkana, and all that. And one thing I can tell you for free, the men will not be comfortable discussing this. But what could be the reason? One is because of the mindset that has already been put there by the culture, where they are coming from. The second thing is the fact that they don't go through this, and therefore it seems that it may not matter so much to them. But again, maybe also getting to where Mary has just highlighted when you asked about the socioeconomic. Look at, for example, who are most of the heads of the families are the men. They are the ones who even make decisions, including even the financial decisions in the family. I'm normally very keen when I go to the supermarkets, when families are doing their shopping, and I normally peep to see whether I can see any sanitary pads in those baskets.
They have to be there because there's a woman in that household.
Exactly. In fact, even it should not even be the woman. And maybe this is where, even from now also getting to the other side of the ministry, when the policy on menstrual health management came in, it was three-pronged. It was looking at breaking the silence, because the eyes do not see anything that is not in the mind. Many people are suffering from that ignorance, the knowledge gap, and the skills, and anything concerning menstrual health. And they feel that this is the men feel this is not their duty. But they have a very big role to play. Even, for example, deciding when the shopping list is being done. I, as a man, should be able to go through. If I don't get sanitary pads, I should be the one to be able to pinpoint
it's a basic
and say, this is
commodity.
a basic commodity like any other. Of course, the other things that make me quite concerned about this, if we are able, and you can all bear me witness that with African culture, when we are talking about anything touching on sexuality and reproductive health, nobody wants to openly talk about it. And I think it's a high time we talked about it, so that at least it can be appreciated. Because even the young boys, those ones who, right now we are talking about girls, but what about the boys? The boys need to understand, because if they understand, they will grow up as a very influential, mature men who can be able to make the correct decision as far as this one is concerned.
All right.
So basically that's one of the good reasons why I feel this is very important. And of course, it contributes a lot. If we are able to effectively manage this menstrual health and hygiene, then of course it also impacts in a very big way the return on investment on proper management of this menstrual hygiene. I think it can be enormous.
Yeah. And I'm glad that is your standpoint on mental hygiene. And it makes a big difference if it's coming from a man speaking about it, because many men would really resonate with what you're saying if they feel that you have gotten an understanding of what this is all about, and they play a pivotal role, like you say. Just speaking from what he has said in terms of the obstacles that communities still face, you know, as we are gearing up towards marking the menstrual hygiene Day, we have seen significant growth since the year 2014, Daktari. But there is a lot that the communities are still facing in terms of obstacles, you know, accessing, you know, menstrual hygiene, and even, you know, what are some of those things that you would like us to put on the table as the main issues we should read, the pressing concerns. This is the situation on the ground. These are the challenges communities are still battling with, even as we talk about marking this very important day.
Yeah, I think we have quite a number of issues that we need to put into consideration. One is the cost of the menstrual hygiene products. If you go to the supermarket and look at the range of the different menstrual hygiene, the sanitary towels that are available, you find that they are actually, the cost of those materials is way out of reach for many common mwananchi, if I may put it. When you're looking at weighing between buying sanitary towels and maybe buying food or buying something else, many people may actually opt to buy food and maybe struggle, like you had put it before, struggle with the improvisation of what do I use when my periods come. The other thing is that many families, like he put it, may not prioritize the buying of sanitary towels. It may not even be top in the list of the things that they would want to buy when they go to the supermarket or when they go to the shop. So we need to think how the cost of the sanitary towels can be brought down so that it becomes affordable. The other options, of course, would also be rethinking the use of disposable sanitary towels. Should we continue using the disposables, or do we start thinking of reusables? Because a reusable sanitary towel means that it is a one-off cost. Yeah. Every other time, probably a one-off cost, as opposed to recurrent cost of the materials. The other one is education. The health education around menstruation should not just be focusing on the girls. Definitely it needs to focus on girls, especially before they start their periods. They need to understand that the changes in their body will eventually translate to them having monthly periods every month. And they need to, the conversations need to happen so that the girl understands that at some point I'll start having my periods, how am I going to handle myself, and even educating communities, the mothers, the parents, the dads and the moms, to know how to support their daughters when they are going through their periods. Mary mentioned that there are also changes that happen when a girl is going through her periods. We go through premenstrual syndrome, where you just feel tensed up, stressed up, and maybe all these other changes that happen before the period starts. Some girls, when they start menstruating, they also have what we call dysmenorrhea. They get very painful menses. Some are not even able to stay in class. Others cannot even women, some women cannot go to work.
Tell them, and this is not support? Excuses, by the way. I think that women and girls make excuses.
They make excuses. Some of this pain, it's such severe pain that women need to be supported when they are going through their menses. If a woman says, I need some rest, I need to sleep because I'm in so much pain, or you need to go and get me painkillers, it should not be seen like she's trying to pretend or look like, and you know, because it happens to every woman, you could ask, how comes, are you a special? Like, why are you making it look like you're special? That's why you need this. So, but also again, just to recommend that when a woman is having the dysmenorrhea or the pain during periods, they can go to a chemist and just get the Panadol. But if the pain cannot be managed by the ordinary painkillers in the chemist, they need to see a doctor so that they are given or even investigated if there is another problem that could be giving that severe pain. The other thing is also having very heavy menses that cannot be handled with the normal pads. You know, like you use a pad and you have to keep changing every other time. So women need to be supported during this time in terms of pain management, in terms of even the lethargy and the body weakness that they may be going through. Just that psychological support when they are having their periods. The other one is breaking the stigma around periods. Especially, I think so much about adolescent girls because I grew up in the village and I understand the challenges that women face, especially in the village, where when a girl starts having her periods, sometimes it happens when she's in class. And maybe she was not even prepared for it. How can we even create spaces, even within schools, where if a girl by chance starts her menses when she's in school, that someone would be able to hand her a pad to use at that point. And every other support that she can be given, especially having educated the boys, the teachers, and everyone, to be able to support this girl when her periods by chance start when she's in school. So creating that safe environment for girls when they start their menses, they feel supported. They don't feel that this is something they now start regretting. I wish you know, you feel like you can reverse your life and go back to a time. Go back to when the periods never came. But the fact of the matter is that once you start your periods, you are in it for life. So we need to support girls. So we are talking about education. We are talking about provision of materials, creating supportive environments for psychological support as well when the women are having their periods. Yeah.
You know, it kind of reminded me of that story of a schoolgirl, a very unfortunate story that we had where teachers were actually, they made that girl have a very bad experience, during that particular season. It's something that went very viral and we were very vocal about it. While it was a good cause, I think we should talk about this more often so that we avert such cases in happening in schools. Everyone should be brought on board. I really agree with your sentiments, Daktari. But then if I come to you, Mary, if having heard all that she has said in terms of even what needs to be done, and I'm quite sure World Vision Kenya has also done quite a lot in terms of interventions to this, which we'll speak to. But before we get to that, do you think we have made any progress in terms of access to menstrual hygiene products as a country? Have we made any progress? And even looking for sustainable solutions when it comes to the challenges she and Albert here have mentioned when it comes to menstrual hygiene management. Do you think we have taken steps? And are you satisfied?
I think yes and no.
It's a mix. It's a cocktail.
Mix because maybe I start with the no part, where I think 10 years ago, we were still discussing that about 7 out of 10 girls still don't have access to menstrual health products and solutions. I'm not happy to report that as we speak right now, we would only say that still 6 out of 10 girls or 10 women are not able to access the right menstrual health solutions or products when they need them. So there are
6 out of 10.
Yes. So if
that does not look good.
Yeah. So
I don't like that statistic. I wish there was another.
7 years ago we were saying 7. I mean, 10 years ago we were saying 7. Now we are saying 6. You know, about 65%. And so in that way, I think we still need to find a way of how do we fast track then that process to make sure that then access is available. But on the good side, when I look at it in terms of the various products and the various solutions that has come up along the way to try and make sure that the girls and the women have the right products, I think there's a lot of progress that has gone on. You can remember maybe almost 10 years ago, if you even looked at the disposable pad that was available at the time, you would see those thick products that came. Now you have a lot of technology that has improved across the years, meaning that comfort and even absorbency and all that and the right standards have been maintained. And also, I mean, the government also zero-rated, you know, along the way with advocacy, the sanitary towels. And then when it comes to the other solutions now, the tampons, and then the reusable sanitary towel that even Daktari talked about. Initially, what people understood when they had about a reusable sanitary towel, people just thought it is just cotton and something that has just been sewn. But I'm happy to report as we speak right now, with the current technology and the research that has been done across the time, a reusable sanitary towel can be used just as good as a disposable sanitary towel. We are hoping that even as we progress forward with the, with the stigma being reduced, we'll even have even more solutions that are happening in the West, like the menstrual cup. And, you know, because that one, of course, is also needed for places maybe where there's a water problems. So I would say from a sustainability point of view, there's still a lot to be done. But then the solutions are now available, especially the ones that we are at a better place. And those solutions, reusable sanitary towels, you can find that they then address the sustainability issue, because you find if someone uses one reusable sanitary, they were given a pack of one reusable sanitary towel, then they can use it even up to 1-2 years. And so if you compare that with a disposable, which then you have to bring in the issue of disposal, where, I mean, a woman in a year, they use comfortably at least 180 pads, which then we have to find a way to sort them out in the environment.
It's true.
There's a lot of progress, and that progress we must recognize. Yeah.
I like your cocktail. There's a mix of optimism there because it shows that we are headed in the right direction. Though we have a long way to go, but at least there is some steps that we have taken. Wanjiku, I'm sure there's quite a lot that World Vision has done in this area of seeking solutions to the challenges that women have in terms of menstrual hygiene management. Take us through some of the things that you have been able to do, what inspired those interventions, and how is that coming along?
Yeah, thank you. As World Vision, actually, we put a major focus on menstrual hygiene. It's a very important topic. And one of the things that we have done is that Waziri mentioned that there is currently a menstrual hygiene management policy in Kenya, and this was launched in the year 2020 at the height of COVID, I think May 28th, 2020. So that's one good thing that happened during COVID. So as World Vision, we were part of the development of that policy because it was done under the auspices of what we call the Hygiene Promotion Technical Working Group at the national level. And as World Vision, we are co-conveners of that Hygiene Promotion Technical Working Group together with WASH Alliance. And of course, that group comprises of the Ministry of Health and other stakeholders in the sanitation and hygiene space. So we were part of that. We also ensure that one of the things that we do is we support construction of school latrines for both boys and girls. And our design encompasses a menstrual hygiene management component so that we ensure that girls, when they are menstruating, they are still able to go to school and manage their menses with dignity. So some of the things that we have in our latrine designs include having like a small bathroom where a girl can keep herself clean and change in privacy so that she does not have to stay at home because, you know, girls and women menstruate averagely 1 week a month. So if you look at that, having a girl staying at home 1 week a month, I mean, that has
How many school days will she have?
Yeah, she'll have lost very many school days. And then we also do distribution of disposable sanitary towels and also the reusable. We work very closely with community groups to ensure that we pass on issues like learning how to make the reusable. As Dr. mentioned, disposable sanitary towels, giving to girls is not sustainable. Reusable sanitary towels are a more sustainable way, and we ensure that girls and women in the communities where we work, in the 34 counties, parts of the 34 counties where World Vision works, that they are able to get these skills. And we also work with partners like, there's a partner called Sesame. This is a US-based organization where we have a program in schools called Wash Up Girl Talk. So the focus is largely on menstrual hygiene management, and we have that project has guidelines that targets both adolescent girls and boys. As Waziri mentioned, for us to really move forward in this menstrual hygiene management, we can't leave the boys and men behind. Actually, the theme for the Menstrual Hygiene Management Day this year is Together for a Period-Friendly World. And the Ministry of Health in Kenya contextualized that, Together for a Period-Friendly Kenya. So for us to achieve that, we must move together as one. Yeah. Boys, men, everyone. Yeah, thank you.
Dr. I'm sure you have a lot to add. I'll come to you, because even normalizing, how can we create a period-friendly Kenya if we are still considering menstruation as a taboo topic? So interventions that are also going towards normalizing this conversation speak to that, even as you add on what she has said with regards to what World Vision has done. But let me get to Waziri. At the county level government, at the county level, you know, what is it that you have also been able to drive in terms of interventions? You come from a very unique area. You took us through the cocktail of people who are found in that area. What is it that you have done to meet the unique needs on the ground?
Thank you so much, and it's good that you have observed that Laikipia, by the way, Laikipia has two faces. There is a face that is Mount Kenya face, and the other face that is the arid and semi-arid area where we have pastoral communities. And whenever we are approaching anything, and that one includes now the menstrual health management, we normally we are very, very keen on the culture of those people. And one thing that is very clear is that if there are people who hold on their culture, is the pastoralists. And they are not very keen on some of these issues, however much you put emphasis, but we have to be clever. And one of the ways that we have tried to do this, and we cannot ignore the role the partners play, and especially the partners we have here with us today. They play a very big role. But also as a county government, having the policy from the national government, which we have also adopted, and we are supporting, and this is one on, because it is three-pronged, as I said, breaking the silence, making sure that information gets to the people. Because there is more empowerment when people are already well informed. The second thing is, of course, managing menstrual health hygienically and very safely, and of course, safe reuse and disposal. And we have seen so many partners collaborating together with the government, and especially our department, which I read, that is the Department of Health. And where we have created very conducive environment, we have also gone ahead. We have, in Laikipia, we have 1,153 community health promoters. And what we are trying to do is to empower the community health promoters, because they are in every village, so that they can be able to also pass the message. We have not done so much on that, but that is the direction we are taking, because we want whatever we are doing to become integrated. Because if looking at the management, the menstrual health management, it is a form of wellness, because we said menstruation is not sickness. Yes, it may come with some few changes here and here, hormonal changes in the body of this girl, but it is not an illness, and therefore it's part of our wellness, and therefore we are integrating it as part of the wellness. And while we improve on how we manage this, we do menstrual health management, then we are improving on general wellness of this girl, and all the women in general, those who are in this within that age of menstruation. Then, of course, the other thing that we are also looking at is in terms of, because we have mentioned three things, there is also the issue of what Wanjiku has just said. In schools, how are we managing this? Because we are looking at the issue of the psychological effect, the stigma, when the girl is missing school, when the girl is not well understood from the parent, from the brothers, the colleagues in class, and all that. Those are some of the things we are trying to look at. And one of the things that we are trying to get through is through school health program. We are trying to give it more impetus. The school health program, where one of the things we are looking at will be the school, the menstrual health management, so that the teachers understand. The teachers will have more time with the pupils and the students, and therefore they'll be able even to pass the message as they do their normal teaching. They can be able to get the teach, and of course that one will be able to give us a significant step. Of course, the other thing that we have also been doing in Laikipia, and we are doing, is the emphasis of water provision, especially in Laikipia North. Because if we talk about reusable sanitary pads, then definitely we must have proper provision of water. So there is an emphasis. We are doing a lot of drilling of boreholes and equipping in schools, almost we have identified almost every school as one of the where we shall be able to put up a borehole. Of course, we are also encouraging water harvesting. There is a project that we are doing right now, and His Excellency the Governor of Laikipia, Joshua Irongo, on water harvesting and storage. He is targeting 50,000 water tanks. 50,000 water tanks. That one will cover almost half of the households. And the essence of having these, and that is provision of 3,000 liters water tanks. This one is for purely to provide drinking water, to provide water for, of course, hygiene, and also maybe a little bit of kitchen gardening.
All right.
So, and that one, all of it is targeting the woman and the girl child.
Thank you, Waziri. I'll come back to you because a lot is happening. It looks like Laikipia is going to teach us a lot, because that is going to be the venue for the national celebrations. But coming back to you, Daktari, there was a lot that Wanjiku had shared with us in terms of interventions. I'm sure you also have something to add on that. And as you do that, talk about cost, because part of the sustainable solutions would be, how do we ensure that the menstrual hygiene products are available at a cost that every woman or every girl can be able to afford? Because it's one thing to give them for free, but how many girls will you be able to reach out to? Yeah, it should be affordable. As you give us your thoughts on also interventions that have worked.
Yeah, so maybe in addition to what my colleague has mentioned around what World Vision we are doing around supporting girls and supporting women around the time of menstrual hygiene. The other things that World Vision does is economic empowerment of families. We support families to be economically empowered. We support them with livelihood programs that enable families to be able to make a living. Because when families are able to make a living, then it trickles down to their children, and then it also trickles down to them being able to provide the sanitary towels for their girls. But also the other thing we are doing is also creating awareness through our advocacy programs, so that we create awareness on and even this is really a great awareness platform that we have, speaking to the whole country and the world around the need for everyone to support girls and women when they're having their menstrual periods, and also breaking the myths and misconceptions around having the periods, and most importantly, getting men to be active participants in the process of in issues around menstrual hygiene and menstrual health, and talking and making them the change agents, especially considering the men are the heads of households. They have a lot to say around how money and budgets in the family are utilized. But the other one is also, at World Vision, we also do a lot of participation of children in our programs. And when we bring children, they actually become the agents of change. If we start working with the children that we have today and embrace and normalize menstruation within the children that we are working with, they will also normalize menstruation in the future. So just making these conversations as normal as possible, so that when a woman is having their periods, it's not seen as abnormal. The conversations around menstruation and having periods are normalized. They can be discussed by men. They can be discussed by the women. The other one is collaboration. Especially when you talk about cost, we need to have a lot of collaboration around the issue of menstrual health. Looking at working with government, working with the development partners, the implementing, the CBOs, and everyone, so that even down to the community level, so that even communities can start coming with innovative ideas of how to manage menstruation. Yeah, and that again brings us back to what Wajiko mentioned about even the small women groups. If the production of especially the non-disposable sanitary towels can actually be made to another economic activity. Put women in groups and teach them how to make them. So when they make them and then they sell them, that also becomes an economic empowerment activity, and that is one of the other things that we are doing at World Vision. Right. And you talked about reducing cost. Of course, we need to do a lot of advocacy so that even at the budgeting level for the government, they can see how to zero rate the sanitary towels so that we reduce the cost. I know eventually we are looking at a place where we can have eco-friendly sanitary towels that probably are the reusable ones, but even for the ones that are disposable, so that we can make them more cost-friendly, so that they become affordable for the 60% of women who cannot get
afford
them. Yeah.
You think it's a joke? It's not. 50 to 80 shillings averagely, that's the basic that a pad would cost on a regular day, depending on the brand, but that's the basic, between 50 to 80 shillings. You think everybody can afford that? No.
It's not.
And this family could be having 4 girls or 5, including their mother. So it's not just 50 shillings. Every month they have to part with about 300 or even more, depending on the number of girls in that family. And families are struggling. No wonder we are having, and this is something I mentioned when we were starting, cases of teenage pregnancy, because there is transactional sex that girls are forced to go into so that they get brainwashed by, we've had those stories. And Mary, I want you to speak to this, you know, how this is correlated. And I'm also excited with what, you know, Daktari mentioned about the economic opportunities that are there, even as we talk about this problem. What are some of the economic opportunities that women can also begin to tap into as we get into menstrual hygiene management, so that we kill 2 birds with 1 stone? We want every family to be able to afford this for their women and girls. How do we do it?
Thank you. I think one of the things, even just picking from Daktari and just what you mentioned, the issues of even transactional sex and people not being able to afford, you know, the right sanitary towel is real, is happening. And not only that, how do we empower them to have livelihood or to be able to have access to some money to be able to afford that? And that's a point at which you say then, can we then transform menstrual health management into economic empowerment? And how do we do that?
The challenge.
How do we turn the challenge into something that then becomes positive?
I like that.
Because at this point in time, if you look at many organizations, and I'm sure also World Vision, they probably also do the same. When people are trying to train women and upgrade their skills so that they can have some livelihood, there's a lot of tailoring that goes on. When people count, maybe they probably train the male youth to become mechanics, but ladies, when they are trying to empower them, let's say early pregnancy and others who have dropped out of school, we train them how to do tailoring. Yeah. And I just wanted to give some of the good news about things to do with, let's say, reusable sanitary towels. The technology is not really much into how to sew, because sewing is something that over time, you find that's a skill that can easily be learned even at Mashinani. I'll give you an example, like in KD, we have actually a facility in Turkana, where the Turkana women are the ones who are actually sewing reusable sanitary towels that are actually being accessible and of good quality, and including refugees. Because once someone knows how to do that, they can then be, and it can be modular. So it means even in places like Laikipia, where I know there's also, you know, that type of project going on, that women are able then to be trained how to make reusable sanitary towels and to sell. And since the market is there, so then we bring in upgrading their skills and to increasing the market access, because not just selling to within the women groups, but even helping them to be able to even consolidate them and make that as a business. So that is something that is ongoing. And I'm happy to say that there are actually other stakeholders that have started coming on board to see how we can do that. I'll give you an example right now. The Kenya Chambers of Commerce, Women in Business chapter, they've already taken that project to see how do we transition this, because that's the only way then we can create this as a sustainable, solution and turn it around. And finally, I would just say that we need to be able to talk about periods without hiding, because that's the only way. Just like the way you say, I make bread. Someone should be able to say, I make sanitary towels, period. You know, I take care of the periods for girls. So the minute we are able to voice that out and say it more openly, then again,
we're getting closer to a solution.
We're getting closer to a solution. Because when you destigmatize, you make sure there's no stigma, then again the business can be able to thrive out of it.
I'm really pressed for time, but there's a very important activity that will be happening next week. I want us, as a final round of closing remarks, let me begin with you, Waziri. All roads are leading to your county. What are you doing in terms of the build-up to that? Are we good? Are we all set?
Thank you so much. To be very straightforward, we are very set for 28th as a government, as a county government, as also the community. And for sure, just as I've said, we are really involving the real stakeholders, the real people, that is the girls, the women, and even this time round for the men. And we really also have so many other partners on board, including the ones who are here and others on the ground. And we are saying this time round, the best we should be able to do is to shout loudly, if possible at the rooftops, for everybody to know that this is very important. The function will be in Nanyuki, our former headquarters of the county. We have moved to Rumuruti. It will be in Central Park, and we are expecting quite a number of schools to participate from our different diverse communities in Laikipia.
And counties as well.
And also counties. We expect representation from all the counties, being a national function. And if possible, we would wish that we have a declaration, especially on menstrual health management.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Daktari, in terms of outcomes, what are we looking at?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest outcome around the celebration of the Menstrual Hygiene Day is just creating the awareness, like getting everybody to understand that this is a problem that for a long time we have kept quiet about, but now we want to speak about it on the rooftops. But also, again, calling on our different stakeholders, even the private sector, because when we are talking about economic empowerment of women, those who are thinking of how they can support women to economically empower them, how does that trickle down to ensuring that the women and the girls are accessing sanitary towels? How do we rethink everything that we do? Even in schools, when in schools, whatever we do when we are teaching children, how can we ensure that our conversations around menstruation are normalized, like we said? So it's a rally call for everyone to think menstrual hygiene every time and every day, even as we gear up towards this. But again, also calling on the private sector as part of their corporate social responsibility. What is it they can do to support girls and women to be able to access menstrual hygiene products?
All right, thank you for saying that. Mary?
Since my colleagues have already talked about their awareness, which is one of the main reasons that, on this day, let's be able to empower the girl. Let's be able to talk about periods openly, but also running up to the day and even going forward, there's going to be, we are hoping that we can call on to the private sector, but not only private sector, every other woman who is also able, because we can be able to support our own, we can support each other. We will run a campaign that we are calling it Empower Her Period, that then you can be able to contribute something small. And if you give that one pack, or if you give that, you have also empowered another woman to be either to be more productive or keep a girl in school. Wow. So let's watch out. Let's also see how do we support one another as women and as men, because our doctor talked about it as well. Thank you.
Wanjiku, what would be the biggest take home for World Vision and for you as an individual?
Yeah, thank you. I think this year, as you mentioned, we are marking the 10th anniversary of the Menstrual Hygiene Day. So it will be time for us as partners in this space to take stock of what we have managed to achieve in the last 10 years, look at the gaps and re-strategize and see what we can do for the next 10 years. Besides being part of the national celebrations in Laikipia, as World Vision will also be supporting local celebrations in other areas where we are working, because not everyone can go to Nanyuki. So we'll also be doing that. Asante. So my parting shot for everyone is let's work together for a period-friendly Kenya. Thank you.
And I like that. Support her period.
Yes.
Okay. Wanjiku Kuria, he's the Sanitation and Hygiene Advisor, World Vision Kenya. I was also having this conversation with Mary Kibugi, the Director, KD, Gratium International. Dr. Anne Mwangi was also talking to us this morning. She's the Health and Nutrition Manager, World Vision Kenya. And Waziri Albert Taiti from Laikipia, the County Executive Officer for Health. Asanteni sana for creating time. We hope for the best, and we hope this conversation is going to really help girls and women access this right. Thank you so much for creating time for Daybreak this morning. That's how we wrap it up. Have a lovely day ahead.